You are welcome to this week's edition of our Current Affairs program, Countdown to 2019. Today, we shall be looking at one distinguished political party that just emerged as among the new parties that INEC has, of course, graciously would say that registered over the time. This party is waxing strong. What I mean waxing strong in the sense that it already has a presidential candidate. And having a presidential candidate, it means it is ready to go headlock with the existing known political parties in the likes of APC, PDP, and a host of them. So on this program today, we'll be privileged to discuss this party and bring it to the viewers to look at and make their informed choice come 2019. My name is Chris Mario, your host. Shortly before we come back, let us give you a message from this party before we unveil it properly, and who will be discussing with us on this issue. Stay tuned.
It's not my business.
It's not my business.
Just look at them. This stagnancy is not their business.
So, whose business is it?
Don't just complain. Be part of the process and join ANN, the Technoticians.
I am a legal practitioner.
I am an engineer.
I am a medical doctor.
I am a businesswoman.
I am a trader.
I am a farmer. And I will join the political process.
At Alliance for New Nigeria, you're more than just a number. You are a voice we reckon with.
Join the political process.
Join the political
Join the political process.
Join the political process.
We are Technoticians.
ANN, the difference.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. With me in the studio to discuss all this important issue is the national chairman of Alliance for New Nigeria. Alliance for New Nigeria, you agree with me? And the person of Mr. Emmanuel Daniel. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Alliance for New Nigeria.
Yes.
Ha! Big one.
Yes.
New Nigeria, you call it?
Yes.
At 58.
Yes.
So why new?
Why new? Because I think that the plans and the visions of our founding fathers for a nation that is 58 years old, you can see that we have moved very far from those values of our founding fathers. And the way in which the nation is going, we need, in order for us to be able to chart a new course, there has to be a new way of thinking. There has to be a shift in the way that we begin to present solutions to the problems of this country. And so we want to birth a new culture, a new tribe, a new people, that will think differently, that would have a complete narrative, different narrative from what we've always seen. And we believe that to see a new Nigeria, a Nigeria that is different from what we've seen in the world. And we make references to that because there has to be such a separation between what that new Nigeria is and what the old Nigeria is.
Yeah, to be specific, what exactly have you identified as a problem of the country and that you are coming in to rectify?
First, poverty.
Okay.
There's great poverty over this nation. And what is the saddest thing for anyone who is in Nigeria is that the poor and the less privileged, the downtrodden, has no voice. You continually hear the sounds and the voices of politicians, of people who are taking advantage of the greater population, but you never hear. There's a bloated idea of how well our economy is growing and how good the economy is doing, but it's not getting to the grassroots. It is only in the pockets of those who are top business people. The people in the rural areas are are living worse than they were, 50 years ago. So it's a problem that has to be addressed.
So how are you going to address this problem you have identified, majorly poverty?
I think from a party perspective, it's very straightforward.
Okay.
One of the things you want to establish as a party is, what exactly are you there for? Why are you involved in politics? And I would say this personally. People have always asked me this question, what would pull someone like you into politics? Why are you involved? What are you doing here? And I've always said that I didn't come into politics to become a politician. I came into politics out of necessity, to see that we could change certain things.
That has been the narrative of everybody who is going into politics. I am not going to be a politician, I'm just coming to serve. But at the end of the day, what Nigerians continue to face is lots.
Again, just like...
That's why you are coming with a new narrative.
Yes, completely different. Yeah, that we do sound alike, but I think at the end of the day, it's the product, it's the fruit of will determine whether this party is the same like every other party or is different. But what I think essentially the point I'm trying to put forward is, what will make me stay away or step away from the comfort of my life in the private sector, to step into politics. And remember, I am not getting involved, I'm not running for an office. So if I was running for office, you say maybe the ambition is I probably want to be president, I want to be governor, I want to be... So why do I want to become a chairman? Why is the chairman the thing for me to leave my comfort? It's simply because when you look at Nigeria and look at the system in Nigeria, look at the political atmosphere, you would notice one thing. We know that there are two major parties, and these two major parties, we know them, as PDP and APC. Now, why do we continue to recycle the same kind of leaders? Why don't we have new hands or fresh hands in those leaders? Why aren't people who can do better, present themselves? It's simple. It is not that Nigeria lacks good leaders. It's very clear that wherever Nigerians go, they always excel in whatever it is they do. So it's not that we lack leaders. I always have a problem when I hear people say, oh, Nigerians, we have a leadership issue. No.
We don't have a leadership issue?
I don't think, as Nigerians, I don't think we have a leadership issue. I think the problem that we have clearly is that we have platforms that are not credible. And when you have platforms that are not credible, you will not attract the kind of leadership that you're looking for. So for me, I've always seen that everyone who goes into politics, for as long as those platforms are not credible, you would always find yourself short of whatever it was of some level of integrity you had before you got in there. So how do you cure this? It is you establishing a credible platform. Once you establish a credible platform, what he does is that it will attract the kind of leaders you're looking for. So that was my desire. As a political party, what we want to see is having people engage the constituents. That it's not about making promises. We're saying that if for someone to say he wants to run on the ticket of a party, right? We want you to be able to show us what you have done in your community. We want to see exactly how you've impacted our community. We want the community to give us a feedback to say, we know him. It's not somebody who came to spend money, but it's somebody who's done things that are impactful. So the concept is to be able to raise a people with a completely different mindset. Take people through a process of renewing the mind, let them go through an institute of transformation to know clearly what it means to transform a nation. So you're not coming in simply to come and take, that you have to understand that governance is to serve. It's people would arise to serve. And to change that narrative is to ensure that we're focused on the individuals, the people in the grassroots, the rural areas, making sure that our party is speaking and is being a voice for them.
Yeah, let me give you an opportunity to recast your primaries here, especially the presidential primaries.
Yes.
Let Nigerians know what transpired, because at a certain time, we have, para Congress here and there. You conducted one on Friday or Saturday. By Monday or Tuesday the next week, another Congress was set up to elect, get a presidential candidate. How have you, why all this, and how have you been able to resolve it now?
Again, like I mentioned to you, and I'm happy that you asked this question, this is the reason why this political party was set up, to steer us, Nigeria, away from this kind of politics. It's unfortunate that we, of course, you can't verify everyone who comes in. You never know the state of a man's heart until when certain things are presented, and that's the truth in this scenario. We have two. We started with 5 aspirants, okay. And I remember that when we're looking at the number of aspirants about a month and a half ago, we were somewhere around the number 4, you know, where you had PDP, APC, you know, and then we were the 4th in the number of aspirants. But somewhere along the line, a candidate in our party, they decided to do what they call a pact, where they wanted to be able to just have a consensus. Okay. This was outside the party, which it wasn't a party JP thing, it was an individual JP thing. And 3 of the aspirants took part in that particular pact. And I think they all agreed, and whoever was nominated, they all aligned themselves with that nomination. The other aspirants, we had 2 other aspirants, and not too long, I think about 3 weeks or so, 2 weeks before the primaries, we had one of the aspirants also collapsed under the other aspirants. We brought 2 aspirants in our party. So we had Fela Drotoe, who was the consensus party for the candidate for the pact, and then we had Benga Olawepo Ashin, who came out from the guy who collapsed after him. Now, everything was perfect, you know, as perfect as can be from the position of the party, and we had positioned following the INEC regulations to ensure that we follow the guidelines. We had given the 21 days notice to INEC of the days we're going to have our primaries. We had decided that from our NEC meeting that we were going to have the presidential primaries first, which is on the 29th of September. And because we were different, we wanted to show, even in the way that we carried out our primaries, that we were different. So we had planned out in our primaries, number 1, that we were going to have a national policy conference at the primaries. That we will do that first, and after the national policy conference, we would have a debate where both candidates would engage, you know, and speak to the delegates, and then thereafter the primaries begins. And so it was a perfect plan. But leading up to the presidential primaries, one of the aspirants started to insist that he wanted the date to be changed, and I, of course, you would ask why, or that he felt that we needed to do a couple of more congresses and stuff, and I said to him, look, that's the decision of the party, not you. You are an aspirant. You're not the one who will tell, you know, the party, you understand, what it needs to do. At the time we did
our talking of party supremacy.
Yes. You know, at the time we did our convention, I think we were present in 26 plus states, and that was enough for us to be able to, which is over what INEC required, for us to be able to go through that. So I said it wasn't the good enough reason for one to move. We could always hold these world congresses after the primaries. The party still exists and it will continue. But for some reason, he was very particular about moving these dates. And again, if the reasons you gave to me were not satisfying, you know, why would I want to move the date? To be honest, the only reason why we would move that date is if we didn't have the finances to be able to hold the primaries. But fortunately, because we don't have the so-called money bags in our party, this party is funded by individuals, young men and women across the nation who simply just believe in what the party is about, and they're giving their little contributions here and there, and so of course also we ensure that our nomination forms and expression of interest, we made it affordable because we wanted to get more young people involved in politics. We just want them, even if you're not going to win the election, you know, but have the experience of the election. So that as you tell your story, more people will come out, more people will come on board and get involved. So we made sure that our prices were quite affordable. And the good thing about that also was that it allowed quite a number of people come on board, and which helped us to generate enough funds for us to be able to fund the party activities. But I think leading to the days, where we were getting to the primaries. Before I became the chairman of the party, the former interim national chairman had gone into sort of an alliance with this particular aspirant, whereby they had committed certain positions to this aspirant, where some of his members of his campaign team were in, and they turned out to be members because they didn't contest those positions by virtue of that agreement. So of the National Working Committee. So we had them, so it was so much of a gloss of an old politicians mixed with young politicians in it. But we felt from a chairman's perspective, I felt I could manage both, take the experience of these individuals, and these are men who I felt very experienced, very amiable individuals, and that I could work with that, with the experience. And so we didn't have any issues initially. But of course, when it started getting to the days, you started to see that there were interest, and those lines were there clearly in the National Working Committee meetings. And so days leading to it, we just started feeling that we were not going to change that date. And we insisted that we will go on with it. My decision is already made.
All right, let's look at it this way. That is okay there. There was this purported suspension of your position as the chairman of the party. Was it before the primaries or after the primaries?
It was after. As a matter of fact, again, this is what we're talking about. Money in politics. Where an individual who believes that he has a lot of money to play around would begin to manipulate the party structure. When it was obvious that I wasn't someone that could be manipulated or could be bullied, I think one of the first things he did was to call these individuals that I said were members of the National Working Committee, who happened to be the deputy national chairman, the national secretary, the national organizing secretary, the deputy national publicity secretary. These individuals that were there, and so they literally withdrew them, trying to force our hands into the certain things that we couldn't do before the primaries, which of course we went ahead to do. Now, on the day of the presidential primaries, they had induced some of my state chairmen with funds. Again, this is politics. And kept them away from a spot. But what was interesting is they kept some of the chairmen. Some of the chairmen had gone without them knowing the reason why they called the meeting. Because some of those members of the National Working were in those meetings.
Because they are members of the National Working Committee.
So they went in for those meetings, and they found that they were handing them certain amounts of money. So by the time they realized, those who realized this was the day before, they did not return for the meeting the following day. Okay, so the following day, what you had was a sizable group of state chairmen, maybe about 7 or 8 of them. Now, remember, I don't think I mentioned to you, this individual also has a campaign structure, and he has put those campaign structures in most of the states that we exist. And we were a month before the primaries. One of the things we were having issues because his structures were trying to absorb the authority of the structure of the party, which was resisted by the party at the time. And I was just trying to see how much we can manage that. So what we found, what you see is a group of people who gathered together, holding a press conference that, they were not going to be part of the presidential primaries. But unfortunately for them, the chairmen were the ones who were sitting at those meetings. The delegates were not with the chairman. The delegates were at the primaries with us. So we had about 21 states in the primaries with us who partook in those primaries. So, I mean, in a presidential primary, what you need is a delegate, not the chair.
So from all this here, we are sitting in the office. This interview is going on. Eventually, it means that alleged suspension does not exist in the first place.
It doesn't. It's just fraught with fraud. This is what they do. This is what these politicians do. They will put whatever information out there, and they don't care. I mean, like I said, one of the things I found out very quickly in politics is that a politician looks at you in the eyes, he's telling you a lie. He knows that you know he's lying, and he wants you to believe what he's saying.
Yet it's a lie.
Yet it's a lie.
That's it. Okay, let's look at one training issue here that Nigerians are very worried. Issue-based campaigns when the season of it now. Along the line, it is difficult to really know who has what for the nation. Everything we see, campaigns here and there, though the official campaign date has not been taken, is I think November 18 or there.
Yes, that's when it starts.
And already we are seeing some issues that are not just issues that Nigerians want to hear. Nigerians want to, to really believe in and say, yeah, this candidate has this and this and that to offer. Are you worried?
Anybody should be concerned about the candidates. Again, like I said to you, candidates who would not have anything to do with you until when it's election year can only offer one thing. There's nothing he has to offer you but to pay you for your vote. Because he knows that that's the only thing. If he hasn't been doing his work for 4 years, he knows that all he has to do is put that. They would, for election campaign, they will come up with manifesto. But all of that is just to fulfill all righteousness, in my opinion. However, I want you to take a look at the profile of the presidential candidate for Alliance for New Nigeria. This is a gentleman who has been speaking endlessly from university to university, state to state, about nation building, about a new Nigeria, about carrying the burden of a nation. It has been what he has constantly spoken about day in, day out. So when you see him begin to deliver that speech, he's not coming from a place of wanting to win an election. It's coming from a place of that this is what must be done. This is what we need to see. And you will begin to see substance in that. And that's what we, as a party, want to be known for. Okay. That we're bringing something to the table. But we're not just saying to you, we want to put a group of young individuals and tell them, thugs, and tell them that they should come and represent the youth wing. The youth wing of this party are students, very educated, very enlightened, not thugs.
Okay. Yeah. Coming from that angle, a party structure presently constituted across the country has always had this problem. I want us to go back to that. We are looking at the party supremacy. Because in most cases, like you rightly point out, if the party does not stand his ground or stood his ground, it will be hijacked.
That's it.
Those are the problem here.
Yes.
And that is what we're experiencing in this country. Going forward, 2019, do you see political parties coming out to take their proper position as they are the one machinery the candidacy of whoever becomes the president of the country? Not just the president say, okay, I'm a president now, and at the end of it, it's just my ESCO, kitchen ESCO, and the rest of it. The party will have no say again.
Yes. First things first, I think the good news is that we should be excited about in Nigeria is when you look at this election 2019, it's not going to be like the ones we've had before where people didn't have an alternative in terms of who the candidates are. Now you have other candidates who are credible, who have a good reputation, like the likes of Fela Durotoye, Obi Ezekwesili, what's this young man's name? In the YPP party.
Yeah, they're there.
Yeah, but they're all there. But these are alternatives that you have, and people who have lived a life, that are credible to some extent. So it's a good thing that we're evolving. It's the consciousness that a certain group of people who used to shy away from politics are coming into politics. But coming into the question that you asked, this is the purpose of why I came into politics, is to establish a political party that any candidate who is on it would understand that the party is first. And that was the first salvo that was sent to this candidate called Gbenga Olawepo to understand. I mean, I don't have any personal issues with him. He's a gentleman. He's somebody who, at some point in time, had done what was necessary at his stage. But it was to understand the difference in the kind of leadership that you have today. That this chairman of this party is not the chairman of the party that you tell what to do or how to do. This chairman the party is above you. You understand? Whatever the party decides, you understand, is what you stand by. Regardless of what your position are, you're a member of the party and you must listen to the party. And that's the kind of party we want to grow.
Okay. Viewers, just a moment. Hold on, we'll return shortly. Let's take a message from Alliance for New Nigeria.
It's not my business.
It's not my business.
Just look at them. This stagnancy is not their business.
So, whose business is it?
Don't just complain. Be part of the process and join ANN, the Technoticians.
I am a legal practitioner.
I am an engineer.
I am a medical doctor.
I am a businesswoman.
I am a trader.
I am a farmer. And I will join the political process.
At Alliance for New Nigeria, you're more than just a number. You are a voice we reckon with.
Join the political process.
Join the political
Join the political process.
Join the political process.
We are Technoticians.
ANN, the difference.
Welcome back. The time is not on our side. We're running up now. What is your message to Nigerian electorates?
I think it's very clear for Nigerians. This election is a very defining moment for Nigeria. And the reason why I say this is that every 20 years, the political atmosphere in Nigeria, there's always been a shift. And we are again in another 20-year shift from 1999 to 2019. We have to choose wisely. It's an opportunity for us to begin to look beyond the needful. We have to decide, for the benefit of our children. This is not about you. It's not about what you put in your pocket. It's about the future of your children. It's about the future of everyone out there on the streets. It's about the future of young girls who are being raped because they have no one to take care of them. It's about the future of children who are dying in hospitals because there's no hospital to cater for them. This is beyond your personal interest. It is about a greater purpose. It's about the future. And I'm counting on each and every one of you that you would partner with this party for us to be able to pull down these draconian parties that we have today and present a party that will deliver to Nigeria what Nigeria truly deserves. I believe Nigeria deserves to be happy.
Thank you so much for watching and investing your time with us. This is where we draw the curtain on today's program of Countdown to 2019. I would look forward to have you subsequently. From my guest, Mr. Emmanuel Daniel, we thank you for accepting to come on board, and we look forward to partner with you on driving the message of Alliance for New Nigeria. Nigeria needs a rebate, and you are in. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I remain your host, Chris Mario.